Live coming back at you with training with physical limitations. Today's a back workout. I'm just going to wait for some people to get on board because we have a bit of a delay. And then because I have restrictions in my low back, I'll show you how I've been able to work around those. Very little lower lumbar strain, very little spinal compression, and can still train the back appropriately. So very, very important stuff. So just wait for the numbers to build a little bit, and then I'll get started GPP and then into the back training. So physique after 50 as well. Don't forget, I'm 56 years old, going on 57. So my goal here isn't try to impress you with my physique. My goal is to try to impress upon you how expertise can lead to really, really training around limitations, no matter how severe they are, with a little bit of know-how and the versatility of the functional trainer and things like that. So without further ado, this is training with physical limitations back workout. So I'm just going to start getting into it and start with my scapular lifts. Just really, really slow. Gotta let the body know what's coming, even more so when you're older. So you can see the limited range of motion I have right now, and that'll change in the next 5 minutes as I start with my upper body GPP. So then I'll just start with a little bit of action, just sort of stirring the pot, stirring the soup, getting the shoulders going in the right direction. And again, feeling a little extra stiff today, so again, biofeedback tells me it might be a little longer warm-up today. So again, the scapular lifts, I'm all ready, my elbows are getting higher, and then I'm into my reverse arm swings to start out. And again, this is training with limitations, back workout. So because I'm missing discs in my lower back from back surgery way back in 2000, and now that's been replaced with, because there was so much damage done, they couldn't insert false discs like they can now. So I've got a lot of scar tissue built there, so I have to watch out for spinal compression and lower lumbar strain. And yet, because of my expertise, after 4 decades of training, I see that as a challenge, not as a limitation. So I've been able to find ways to do exercises with a little bit of tweak and a little variation that aren't the orthodox way of doing these exercises, but they're still very effective ways of doing these exercises. So that's what you're going to learn today. And I'm going to show you a couple funky Abel moves as well that help along this direction and show those of you who have a functional trainer the versatility of this incredible dual axis functional trainer. So just did some reverse arm swings, now some frontal plane, coronal plane arm swings. Get the shoulder ready. Again, advanced osteoarthritis in my shoulders. No discs in my lower back. No problem. So when you have limitations, don't forget, stop focusing on what you can't do and start getting more focused on what you can do. What you focus on expands. If you start focusing on what you can do, then you'll find you can do more and more things. If you keep focusing on what you can't do, then you're going to tell yourself that you can't do more and more things. So it's all in your attitude and perspective and perception. Quality of mindset determines quality of behavior. So regardless of your limitations, focus on what you can do, start there, and you'll be amazed at the possibilities that you find. And if you're just keep focusing on your limitations and what you can't do, then you're never going to be open to the possibilities that you could find. All right, so that's very important stuff, and it all factors into training. So now some front arm swings. Again, your workout is only going to be as effective as the warm-up that precedes it, and that's even more true if you're over 50. Physique after 50, your GPP warm-up becomes more and more important, from general preparation to physical rehearsal. And now I just go into some Little trunk twists with a reach. Open up the core a little bit. Any questions or comments?
Just lots of man crushes.
So like I said, we're going to get into a back workout. How do I maintain back workout when I can't do much spinal compression or have any much lower lumbar strain? I'm going to show you some funky Abel permutations to some standard exercises, as well as some new exercises you likely haven't seen before. So some shoulder rolls front, shoulder rolls back, and then shoulder rolls front. A few neck rolls. Sounds like squeezing a bag of Ruffles potato chips right now. If you hear my neck go. Then some alternating arm swings. One goes to the front, one goes to the back, and then you switch. And then you'll see now my scapular lifts. I've got a much greater range of motion. Elbows are coming much higher. Well, this is standard GPP for me before every workout. But I'm going to show you a variation in GPP because of the workout I'm doing coming up in a minute. Do my palm reach for the ceiling and see how I can't even get my arms back there at first. And then I just keep aiming behind me and I get a little more range of motion each time. Palms toward the ceiling, and then a few around the world, which no way I could do when I first stepped in here. And then finish with some pull aparts. Take what your body gives you. Eventually, you can get right down to your waist. Sweet. Oh, that's nice. So that's loosened up the shoulders, ready to go. And that's GPP for upper body, and now a couple sets of physical rehearsal for back. So pitter patter, let's get at her. Ready to go. Make sure the pecs still bounce at age 57. Booyah. So I'm going to start with one arm rows, and I'm going to show you how I've been able to vary it, because I can't do the standard one arm row anymore where you get on the bench with one leg and you row. I can't do that motion anymore because it puts too much awkward strain on my lower lumbar. So I found a way around that I'll illustrate to you, but I got to do a couple warm-up sets first. So walk around, stay with me on these so people can see. 15 each side. Start the GPP for my lower body, but I'll show you a variation of that coming up. So. See, the first part of your workout, you use this GPP for opposite ends of the body just to keep you engaged and moving. So you're not starting your workout doing a set and then sitting down and doing a set and then sitting down. You're engaging the body systems in different ways, so you keep metabolism in an optimized frame. It's really, really important. So just maybe get over there for Again, just take what your body gives you. It's not about seeing how high you can kick or swing. It's about feeling your body out for range and plane of motion. So, a second warm-up set. Is there a comment or something?
Everyone's saying good morning.
Oh, good morning, everybody. Glad you can make it. Tune in. So my second warm-up set. And so now I'm going to use my straps. You're doing back work, heavy pulling work. Should always use power straps. Male or female, doesn't matter. So one more warm-up set. The first set, just like the other days of the week you saw, I did high reps, 15 to 20 reps with a low weight, with a very methodical, purposeful execution. As physical rehearsal, let the body know what's coming. Here's set number 2. I've always been able to engage maximum work capacity on one arm rows for some reason. Get into proper form in a minute. Do my frontal plane leg swings.
Lydia has a question.
Sure.
Which power straps do you recommend?
Hang on one sec. Sorry, lady, I can't walk and chew gum at the same time, so I can't GPP and talk at the same time. The brand name here is just WSF Grip Tech, but I like a combination between cloth and leather. So we got cloth on the inside, leather on the outside. That seems to work best for me. Some people like a thinner power strap. Some like a thinner, some like all cloth, some like all leather. Really, you feel it out. But as long as you're using power straps for back work, you can always lift more with your back muscles that are huge muscles than you can usually grip with. So that's important. Hang on one second. Finish those hip swings with some hip circumduction. You probably don't see many people doing those. They should. Okay, so get over there. We're going to start the work sets. So that was 2 warm-up sets. And remember, training with physical limitations and physique after 50 is what's all this is about. So I told you in the beginning, I can no longer do the standard one knee on a bench, the other hand on a bench, and pull. My lower back, because of the surgery stuff, can't perform that. But I don't go around saying, I can't do those rows, I can't do those rows. No, I work around how to eliminate that kind of strain. So now I have a 1-arm dumbbell variation where, as long as I support myself with a 2-foot base of support instead of 1, and no longer in the horizontal plane totally, no worries. So I'll start with left hand. Over here. I take a little break in between sides. Up, up, ush, 1, up. One thing about 1-arm rows in general, not just physique after 50, you see too many people using momentum and torque to lift the weight. They get to the bottom and they throw it. Remember the mantra, row it, don't throw it. Yes, be explosive, but don't use momentum. You'll see a lot of people doing that because they'll come up on their trailing calf at the top of the movement. It's not a calf exercise, it's a back exercise. Now,
Lydia's got a question for you.
hang on one sec.
Yeah.
Finish this comment.
Yeah.
Notice the previous workouts. Between the first exercise, I would do GPP for lower body or upper body, depending on what I was doing. I started GPP with the hip swings, but I'm not going to do my reach lunges between sets of 1-arm rows because of how demanding 1-arm rows for me, and I'm using the big boys. So I'm going to delay the reach lunge sequence and the unloading of my knees and hips for later in the workout so I can fully recover here. That's what biofeedback's all about. So follow me and ask the question. I'm just going to sit between sets.
Okay, Lydia says, is the knee on the bench variation a more effective row, assuming one can still do that variation?
If you can still do that variation, a 1-foot base of support will usually throw joint stress transfer toward more recruitment for the back. If you can still do those, then I would do them that way. That's why I always have Andy demonstrate those. But again, I'm just pointing out, training with physical limitations, I myself with no discs in my lower back can't do that variation. The point being here, doesn't mean I can't do one arm rows. It means I tweak it so I don't risk the injury at the same time I get maximum performance. So there's always a way around. If I was only focusing on limitations, then I would have told myself years ago, can't do that, can't do one arm rows anymore. Because when I would try to get into the orthodox position, it was way too risky. But because I'm an expert and because I don't think in limitations, boom, I found an alternative. So set 2, giddy up, Buttercup.
Thanks, Lydia.
See, 2-foot base of support. Up, up, 1, 2, And I like to, just because of my back, I like to give just a pause, rest between sides. Because I'm able, for some whatever reason, to get such great max work capacity. So it's a 1-arm row. Usually people have a 2-point base of support. I have a 3-point base of support. Both feet and a hand. So what allows me to do this with my back, with no discs, 3-point base of support, but I can still overload the back. Wrap it up. Up, up, ush, up, follow me over here. So I rest up, biofeedback oxygen down. The other thing I like about training at home, 4 decades of experience of hanging and banging, I don't get the sideways glances for grunting and groaning in my workout like you have to get used to at the gym these days, where people are more comfortable with someone sitting on a piece of equipment on their phone than they are with someone actually hanging and banging and making a little bit of noise because they're exerting maximum efforts. So another benefit to home training. So I'm going to recover now. Remember, as I said, I'm not doing GPP. Suspended my GPP for lower body between sets because of what these take out of me. But I'm going to go back to those later in the workout because I never, ever miss GPP for total body. So breathing's coming back to normal. And yes, I got the big boys out today. So that always invigorates me. Profile. All right. Set 3. Literally hanging and banging over here. Questions or comments?
No, all good.
So remember, yes, be explosive, but row it, don't throw it. All right, you can see people doing wild torquing movements, and that means they're lifting more weight than they can handle. On the other side, you see ladies with ridiculously light weights doing this. Stop the nonsense. All right? One of the most challenging exercises you can do is the one-arm row. Look, I'm still sucking air. So enough of this, lady, you know, don't use too much weight. If there's not an oxygen jet between sets of these, then here's some tissues for your issues. Let's get at her. I mean, yes, you're not training to exhaust yourself, but at the same time, there's got to be some kind of exerted effort and concerted effort toward pushing your conditioning level and your work capacity. Last set here, and then you can tell me on the comments.
No, it's the emoticons, it's the funny ones.
To the beat.
Oh dear.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh god.
Up. Last set. Wrap it up tight. Up. Up. Ush. Up. Boom. Another benefit of training at home is I don't have to create a muscular imbalance by walking around with a spray bottle in my hand, spraying equipment and spraying the air I breathe between sets because someone thinks I might have cooties. So it's another benefit. I don't need disinfectant for my own space. Never really understood what that's about. I see people on the treadmill and elliptical. They get done. They go run over and bring the disinfectant, and they're spraying the screen that they haven't even touched. They've only looked at. They haven't even touched it. They're spraying and wiping. My goodness, folks. Looking for recovery. Just a little bit of ranting because of the changes for good and bad that I've seen after 4 decades of training. We seem to be prioritizing all the wrong things in workouts anymore. Like ladies not wanting to use the weights because all the men are there. Or not wanting, like we said in our last webinar, wanting to do things in a group class because it's more comfortable. Has nothing to do with reaching your goals. Has nothing to do with the principles of exercise physiology. So, me, I want to invest my time in a workout. I don't want to just spend my time in a workout. So, I don't want to show up at the gym, spend an hour looking at my phone, and then leaving and say, oh, I was at the gym for an hour. I want my hour in the gym to say something and be something. I'm on a rant today.
Oh dear.
So again, physique after 50, training with physical limitations. Hold that up, hun.
Yep.
So I'm not doing this to impress you with my physique. Those days are gone, pushing 57. Trying to impress upon you how you can train around limitations. So I'm going to start showing you some really funky, fun movements with back. So one of the things I've done to always be tweaking and learning, little reminders on my whiteboard even after 4 decades. See, for this one, I found my favorite setup for high to low rows is by setting the functional trainer at a certain height and a certain width, and I wrote it down so I didn't forget, so I no longer have to experiment. So now, to offset lower lumbar strain, just in case because of the heavy one-arm dumbbell rows, going to do high to low seated rows. So you might want to get over here. And that looks like this. And I'm going to do it for high reps as well. Use my tushy as a base of support. Make sure I reach in. And I'm surfing the curve, so anywhere from 20 reps to 6 reps. And now I'm going to add back in the reach lunges. So, for you.
Yep.
Any questions or comments?
No, John, I'm running trying to watch, so I hope he doesn't bang into anything.
So,
Good morning,
again,
Nancy.
here's another functional variation you can't find in the gym. A certain setup of high to low rows, still that pulling motion, changing the gravitational pull from exercise 1, and you can see why I saved my reach lunge sequence for GPP for lower body to this exercise, just because of training with physical limitations and no discs left in my back, anything but scar tissue. Don't really want to push that envelope of doing reach lunges after sets of max load one arm row. So the thinking cap's on, all right, as well. So, and that's something that only comes with experience. So set 2, let's hang them, let's bang them. So I just did a set of 20 and I monitored that, monitored my biofeedback. I could have stayed there for 4 sets of 20, but I want to do a little pyramiding, so I made the weight heavier. And let's face it, I'm showing off for you guys. Up. shoot the next one from the back.
Yep.
So go up and wait again. Now, no matter what seated row variation you're doing, whether training for limitations or not, notice how I lean into it. Enough of this personal trainer myth of staying straight when you're doing seated rows. There's no engagement of the back in doing that. You have to reach to engage. The further degree of stretch on the muscle, the more intense the contraction. It's all in my book, The Abel Approach. Okay, if you're learning anything, by all means, throw some emoticons across, let us know. Physique after 50. Just remember, you don't stop exercising, you get old because you get old. You get old because you stop exercising. So, let's hang them, let's bang them. Shoot me from the back.
Yep.
And I'll show you a little option at the end of this set that I often throw in for my ladies on Met style of workouts, but it's just a little simple variation. Set number 3. Wrap it up tight. Up. And for some of my ladies on the Met program, just get over here, I'll have them biplex in, since it's already set up, I'll have them biplex in some duck unders between sets for the core. So prayer stance, and then whoop, up, and then whoop, up, whoop, up, wide lateral, step, boom. Do like 10 reps each side. Beauty. So now finish my reach lunge. Very effective prehab for my back. Again, you can find workouts in my Physique After 50 book, both advanced and beginner, but it's all about using exercise to enhance your life after age 50. Questions or comments?
No, all good.
You sure you're, because yesterday we missed all the comments.
Yeah, there was a glitch. We missed a lot of comments yesterday.
Keep scrolling up and down
Yep.
just in case.
Yep. No, all good. No, that's it. All good.
Don't be shy asking your questions, folks. I do this for Angie's sake. She laughs every time I do it. So it's not a nervous twitch. The other thing I like about high to low rows also offsets any kind of joint stress. So knowing that tomorrow is shoulder workout, this kind of feeds into that. So I'm always paying attention. What I did yesterday, what I'm doing tomorrow. So last set of these. Yeah, shoot me from here. Up. The other thing I like, if you can just stand behind me, beside me here. The other thing I like, folks, because of my advanced osteoarthritis, no, stand beside me and shoot towards there in a second, is I can use, because this is dual access, one side working independently of the other, I can use the yellow knobs to tell me if one shoulder is being favored over the other. For instance, shoot the yellow knobs. So when I'm pulling, I can see that they're coming up evenly, rather than something like this, which would tell me, which would tell me as I'm doing it that I'm favoring one side without even noticing it. So one of the benefits there, using the functional trainer versus a seated row pin loaded at the gym, you don't get that kind of immediate feedback. So once again, I just pay attention to the yellow knobs and I can see if maybe I'm favoring one side, and that comes into play for me on certain other exercise variations. So it's another added benefit if you know what you're looking for.
I've got a question from Mike.
Yeah.
If you had one of those functional trainers, is it bolted to the floor or
it doesn't, no. See, come over here. Good question, Mike.
or stable freestanding?
As you can see, there's no bolts here. So, but if you come right around and just shoot in the back,
Yep.
you can see the way it's built.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so the foundations are such that given the load and given the way they constructed it, it's really engineered well, so that it takes a hell of a lot to tip that over one way or the other. So, which you don't get from training with bands and things like that. So they're really well constructed these days, and with rubber flooring you don't have to screw them in. That's a really good question though.
Thanks.
So now I'm going to unload the knees and hips. Get over there. And again, if you're new at this, you just take what your body gives you. Offset your weight by pulling hard, and then sit down into it. If you can only get to here because you've got knee or back issues, then that's all you do. Because I've been doing this every single workout for years, boom, butt to heels, ass to grass. Boom. So, now I'm going to do some alternating pull downs. Again, changing the gravitational pull. For innervation training, there's more exact ways of doing this in terms of program design. For that, you would see my program design masterclass course. But this is good. And then I'm going to finish by showing you a couple funky Abel permutations. But even with this exercise, because of the dual access, vertical and horizontal, some days I might do this at the horizontal 3, so I'm wider, and some days I'll do it 2, so I'm closer. So that's an interesting variation right there. That's part of what we call advanced tweakology. And again, that depends on biofeedback and your level of expertise. So wrap it up tight. I'm going to stay there. I'm going to do another unloading set.
Eric was saying it's a nice machine, but costs roughly $7,000.
Well, it depends, Eric. I've had clients write me, yes, buying new, it's an expensive investment, but it's a good, if you're going to train at home, it's an investment that keeps paying off better than using gym memberships that never get used. But not only that, if you look online at various, even local city websites, or on online for the bigger Craigslist and places like that, you can get used ones pretty cheap from people who just want them out of their house. I just had a client who got one better than mine, an updated version of mine, and he got it online in a private sale for $1,800. So, and then of course he had to pay for delivery. So yeah, you can buy new. Because I do this for a living, I make the investment in anything, I buy it new. But you could look on Craigslist and look for deals, and they're out there. And that's the same for dumbbells, medicine balls, stability balls. Look for used, because chances are people are selling them, they weren't used that much. That's why people are getting rid of them. Not because they've worn them out, but because people actually realize that they're not going to stick with any kind of fitness thing. So you'll probably get used, you'll probably get a pretty good deal. And something that's not nearly worn out because nobody ever used it. So, good question. Set 2. Notice how I reach up into it to get that full stretch. And what you probably didn't catch when I first started, when I went down in the start position, I looked at the yellow knobs and they were off, which told me my body position was off. And I was trying to make amends for one of my shoulders. So by looking at the yellow knobs, corrected it before you even probably noticed it, and then got started with the set. So again, little variations and tweaks that you can only notice and observe with years and years of expertise, but that's something like a dual access machine can offer you where a gym machine can't. So very, very important stuff. So I think that was set 2, right? Mm-hmm. So I'll put one of these back. Up. Those are the bad boys. And you should always invest in a dumbbell rack. Very safe, better use of equipment and space. If you're doing selectorized equipment, you don't want to be standing over a floor all the time, bent over, and then you're not thinking, you go to pick something up, boom, you hurt your back when not even working out. Have a nice dumbbell stand. You're in a safe position for changing weights, etc., etc. Questions or comments?
No, all good.
So again, training with limitations, back workout, racked with advanced osteoarthritis in both shoulders, scar tissue from having no discs in my lower back, missing 2 discs from a double laminectomy. Don't think about limitations, I think about what I can do, not what I can't do. And I think in terms of possibilities, and I like the challenge. It's nice to have this kind of, to challenge your expertise. So I kind of like it because it forces me to think and then use what I've come up with in ways to help you all as well. So set number 3. Maybe shoot me from the side or something.
Yeah.
But watch the yellow knobs as I go down, folks. So it tells me whether I'm properly balanced. So watch that. See, that's excellent. And now I'm ready to start.
Just come to the side.
One more there.
Oh, Sherry wants to know what brand are your dumbbells?
These are Nautilus. You can see the name. But Bowflex also makes some. I think other brands make some. And over here are standard. Come over here.
There you go, Sherry.
And then over here, Power Blocks. These are more the brick type, but do you see the name there, Power Blocks? So, and I like these too because they're color coded. So, if you just come back and watch me, just by sliding, I know exactly what weight I'm using. So after a while, I know that's 30 pounds. And then it goes all the way to 90. Those of you with Power Blocks know that. And then these selector eyes, spin, spin, spin. I can go from 5 pounds all the way to 52 pounds just in a spin. So you don't want to buy individual dumbbells like these, okay? Because then you have to invest in all the increments, take up all the space, all right? And you definitely don't want dumbbells where you have to take off the knob, put weights on. That's way too much waste of time between sets. Make the investment and it'll pay off. Got to invest in your body, folks. So watch your fingers on the...
There's a question.
Last set. And then after this set, I'll get to some fun, functional, fun, funky stuff. Watch the yellow knobs. See how perfect that is? Boom! Questions?
Eric, I bought weight trees and plates, 2 sets of handles.
Sorry, say again?
Yeah, he's bought weight trees and plates, 2 sets.
Oh, okay.
Handles. Yep.
Well, if you have plate-loaded stuff, then that's good, but it's very expensive.
Yeah.
So a lot of people don't have plate-loaded equipment.
I'm not sure, Stevens might have missed something here, but I've always trained chest and shoulders together to prevent overtraining my doubts. But he was going to put something else there, but he's missed.
Okay, well, whether or not that's good or not depends on the program. So it depends on how all that's organized. Remember always, the magic is in the method. So now I'm going to show you some other functional stuff. Remember, when you don't think in limitations and you think in possibilities, when I go to advanced gyms, back in the day, one of my favorite machines was the Nautilus lat pullover. Flare my lats right out. Loved it. With the advanced osteoarthritis, I can't get my hands in that position. So do I think, oh, well, can't do that exercise anymore? No, I come up with a variation that allows me to do a lat pullover. So we're going to load this up. And because I've done it before, like I said earlier, again, if you get a functional trainer, buy all the attachments. So what I did, experimented, got the lat pullover down at a certain angle, and then I wrote it down for myself, 3E, lat pullovers, boom. So follow me here, do that. Make sure this is even. See what I got here. Looks good. So, because of my limitations, I come up with a new exercise. So, how awesome is that? Possibilities because of limitations. It's all in the mind. No stinking thinking here. And here we go. So, get into position. Up. Up. See, hopefully you can see the lats working on those, but I'm going to superset these with some shrugs. So follow me along.
Oh, Stephen wrote back.
Hang on.
Yep. Okay. We'll get to your question.
Up. So because the pullovers aren't all that metabolically demanding, supersetting them with some nice shrugs for traps, feeling a really great pump now. So pumping the iron, way more important than how much you lift is how you lift. And way more important after age 50 is training for effect and not training and massaging your ego. So really, really important as well. Question?
Yeah, this is from Stephen.
Yeah.
I heard you mention that you're training shoulders tomorrow.
Yes.
This doesn't irritate your doubts after training your chest on Tuesday, question mark.
Not on this program, but because of the way I've adopted everything. The answer to that question in general, Stephen, is everything irritates my delts because of the advanced osteoarthritis. Like I said, there's some days where I'm reaching for a glass and I have to use one arm to reach above shoulder level with the other, or it just collapses. That's because of the bony changes and how that affects the nerves. But when working out, that loosens all that up and helps, as does my rotator cuff work. So great question. So there's a general and a specific answer to that because there's no healing osteoarthritis. So forget about buying into magic supplements and creams and gels and all that stuff. You're not going to heal. Forget about chondroitin and glucosamine. It's not going to. If it's an actual osteoarthritis condition, none of those things are going to alleviate it. Set number 2 for Mr. Magoo. Up. Ah. 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 Notice how I set the bench up so when I put it back, I'm not ripping, having to reach too far back. And again, that just comes with experience. Hang on one sec. Up. 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 Oh. Couple things here. With my back issues I've explained to you, gotta watch spinal compression and lower lumbar strain. I can't imagine doing shrugs with an effective enough weight without a dumbbell stand. Imagine if I had to always pick them up off the floor, how precarious that would be for me. So again, a very good safety feature. And another thing, because of innervation training and expertise, I'm going to show you, I'm going to do 5 sets of pullovers, but I'm going to show you a variation after this set. Because of understanding ranges and planes of motion of muscle function, we can get more of a fun factor in there, a more invigorating element to the workout. So one more set of these and then I'll show you another variation in a sec. But because I'm supersetting, got to recover. Questions or comments?
You can read this comment later.
Folks, if you're learning anything, throw your emoticons out there. Let me know you're out there. And I would apologize for my earlier rants, but since I mean them and meant them, then why would I apologize for an honest opinion? Opinion could be wrong, but it's still my perspective after 4 decades of hanging and banging all around the world. Booyah. Up. Let's get 12. Up. Oh. Thought I'd give you a shot from the back. Questions or comments? So I'm going to move these in one. Actually, no, I'll leave it. And then I'm going to angle this a bit different. So instead of a pullover, we're using the same type of movement, but we're changing the angle from a pull over to a straight arm pull down, and I'll show you what that looks like, and we'll finish off that way as well. So excellent stuff. Just out here like this. So I'm going to lean into it, reach up. How cool is that? And where are you going to find that at your gym?
Mike put, I see many people rolling their shoulders. Yep, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike's question, I see many people roll their shoulders when doing shrugs. Is there some type of danger of doing them
Definitely.
that way? Or does...
Don't roll your shoulders when doing shrugs.
Okay.
Don't rotate a joint with heavy weight like that. Move the weight perpendicular from stretch to contract, doing this nonsense. The other thing with shrugs, good point, Mike, is how ballistic people do it. They load up a barbell, wrap it up, and they're, all right? That's just using momentum like I spoke about earlier, like throwing a one-arm dumbbell row. You see me doing those strict stretch and contract the muscle, not about how much I'm lifting, how I'm lifting it, none of this ballistic stuff. So if your goal is balanced physique development, etc., etc.
And I've got another one.
Sure, hurry.
Stephen, great answer to my previous question. I've been training for 20 years, I'm 37, and experienced stiffness in the shoulders and knees. Your GPP protocol has helped me a lot. I've started training my delts on separate days. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, no, depends on how good a program is or isn't. But GPP, as you just said, Stephen, goes a long way for prehabbing certain areas and then training them correctly. The problem with most people is they do bench, 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 shoulder press, shoulder press, shoulder press, and then they have all kinds of issues with the AC joint and the sternoclavicular joint and the acromion process, well, the acromion process and the sternoclavicular joint in particular. So, last set.
I'll go this way.
Nice straight arm pull down. Get the upper back in ways you've never thought of. So again, the whole purpose of this week's workouts, physique after 50. I'm pushing 57. Got all kinds of limitations from, like most professional athletes later in their later years, repercussions and consequences of outperforming their body in their younger years. It is what it is. However, training around limitations requires expertise, and there's the fun in that and the genius in that. So again, all week, training you in the dungeon for a lot of reasons. One, physique after 50 and the limitations we all must face from mild to severe, knees, hips, shoulders. Also, to be able to train at home effectively and get the most out of your workouts and learn how to train around things. Okay, so that's very, very important as well. And then just illustrating the expertise of the innovation training methodology as we go along, but mostly physique after 50 stuff. And again, the last principle is I'm not bringing this to you to try to impress you with my physique. That was a career ago. This is about impressing upon you expertise in a way that you can no longer have to hide behind excuses and limitations, and you can look for possibilities because they're always out there. So I'm going to finish with some rotator cuff work as always. And this is where I used to do abs or core. Now I do rotator cuff to prehab my bad shoulders and help me with it. So just intelligent training. I get this out of the way. So and these actually saved me from shoulder replacement surgery. So 4 sets here. So, answer to Steve's earlier question about shoulders, here's some biofeedback. Normally do those, same old, same old. Right now doing those, left side was fine. Did my right side and immediately pain in my right shoulder. Told me, okay, there's something going on there. Left side was able to do it, right side wasn't. Who knows why, okay? That's just how osteoarthritis works. Right, so I keep an eye on that for the next sets, and I keep the sequence, and maybe I don't push so hard. I still want to get that range of motion with resistance, so that's important. Always listening to biofeedback, even when you think it doesn't matter. So now would be the time to get your questions and comments, because I'm essentially finished. So that's back workout training with limitations, and shout out to everybody at Jets for supplying me with my workout towel. And I like this because I could be naked underneath and you wouldn't know. I could just be doing a happy dance and letting things fall where they may. So, but nice workout towel. So a couple more sets here.
Stephen's just mentioning any shoulder stretching afterwards.
I can't do any stretching anymore, Stephen. For low back, I used to love various yoga options. After my training for 15-20 minutes, loved it. Can't do it. It puts my low back in precarious positions where I'm always tweaking the injury. And for shoulders, no, I have no range of motion in them. So the best thing I can do is workouts with resistance that restore that in me for a few hours post-workout. But no, stretching my shoulder would actually be even worse. Because of the bony changes when you have osteoarthritis and the bony growths, you stretch around those bony growths, you risk tearing your muscles that way. So another great question, really, really good question. But that's why you don't see me doing any of that post-workout. But what a great question. So 2 more sets, and then done. Hopefully you guys are learning something here. 2 more workouts after this, tomorrow and then Friday. Over here. So, 1 more set. And again, a little more than an hour, but mostly that's because I was talking to you guys and stuff like that. So, Really important stuff. Questions or comments?
Hi from Texas.
All right. What's that song? All my exes live in Texas. That's why I live in Tennessee. So, no, love having people all around the world tuning in. So, yeah, hopefully, you're benefiting from this in some way. So, I know it's early in the morning for a lot of you people, or it's weird times, but these are the time of day that I function best. So, like I said, I want to bring it in real world, in real time. Otherwise, what's the point? I can do all kinds of setups, but if you see real world application in real time, then you get a sense for intensity, variation, rest periods, all those kind of things. So, last set. Just 1 sec, maybe shoot the gym.
Thanks, guys, for understanding my accent.
So, I used to be this guy. That was a world a long time ago. So, and I used to be that guy. But that's not me anymore. So now, before we log out, a special guest, come on in, the dungeon. My lovely cousin, all the way from back east, came to join me. So a little Christmas visit from my cuz, 57 years old, also Platinum Club member, also Physique After 50 member. So very, very important. Again, you don't stop exercising because you get old. You get old because you stop exercising. So keep that in mind. Any words of wisdom for everybody, cuz?
Keep exercising and keep watching Scott Abel.
Yeah.
There you go. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Thanks for being there. If you weren't there, it wouldn't make much sense for being here.
Cindy, we're making him go crazy, aren't we? Yeah.
Surrounded by women. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.